This video is going to be my reaction to the Lions' 42-17 win over the Broncos in Week 15 at home. Just a completely dominant performance from Detroit that fits really with their play early in the season. I'm going to attack this or approach this reaction video from a different angle. You have to let me know if you enjoy it. If you were to watch the Lions games up through Week 6, meaning stop watching the road win over the Bucks, and then immediately proceed to tonight's game, their home win over the Broncos, it looks the same. Strong, physical, versatile run game, timely play action passes, the occasional third down conversion. I thought there was 3 possessions in a row where the Lions only faced 2 third downs, really controlled this Broncos defense. The only problem with my analogy or asking you to skip time from Week 6 to Week 15 is there's one big difference. The defense was bringing a ton of DB blitzes tonight. Some from safety depth, some from the nickel position, some from corners lined up on the line of scrimmage, like a cover 2 or maybe a jam technique, and then blitzing off the edge. Those were productive. Right now, I would guess it was at least 10 DB blitzes, possibly as many as 12 or 14. You have to let me know if you think that number's too high. It seemed that as much. Let's do it that way. If it wasn't 12 or 14, it seemed like it was. Some of them were really productive. Melifonwu, whose name hopefully I can say correctly throughout this video, played a fantastic game. I think he's the guy who had the strip sack early. Branch, I thought, had 2 quarterback hits that were violent. When he gets there, when he arrives at the quarterback, there's a different level of collision. Dorsey, I thought, had a QB hit in the first quarter, but I may be confused there. It may have been 29, because I know that the Lions shuffled around their DB group. Perhaps it was because it was reflective of the fact they were going to blitz more. Maybe they just didn't like what they were getting from Jerry Jacobs and Tracy Walker the third. But in any case, that element, that blitzing of the DBs, would look drastically different if you skip from Week 6 to this game at home. Otherwise, everything else looks the same. It's difficult for people to probably co-sign this, but if shutting down the run game, that's what the Lions did in the first 6 weeks. Absolutely shutting it down. I think they were giving up 74 yards per game on the ground, leading into that Week 7 loss in Baltimore. Attacking defenses with the run, particularly to the boundary. Play action passes. And the offense would look in line with that 5-1 start, if you ask me, where they're, I don't want to say reliant on the run game, but the offensive line is controlling people. Let's do it that way. I thought I heard the announcer say tonight that the starting offensive line was intact. I thought there was only 4 starters out there, but I clearly could be wrong. Getting to Jared Goff, he looked exactly the same as he did earlier in the season. If you recall, up to that visit to Baltimore, he had 11 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions. Tonight, 24 of 34, 5 touchdowns, including the last one, what I would consider an FU touchdown on a 4th and 2, up 28, I think up 35-17, excuse me. Didn't really need that one. That one surprised me, particularly in light of the fact that Sean Payton, I think, was the guy who gave Dan Campbell his coaching profession, basically. Brought him in as the first-time coach, I think, but I could be wrong. Goff was in control throughout. It was reflective of the offensive line playing well in pass pro. I think the Broncos finished with 2 sacks. Sewell got beat in the 4th quarter, or maybe it was late 3rd quarter. I will say this. The Broncos coming in as a 7-16 did not resemble what was out there defensively in terms of forcing turnovers, in terms of getting after the quarterback, getting interceptions. Goff threw 1 ball that was maybe, I guess the phrase or term is interceptable. I think that's it. You have to let me know how it's referred to. A ball that theoretically could have been intercepted. If you look back at the games against the wins against the Chiefs, Falcons, Packers, Panthers, and Bucks, and you compare that team to the one that's 2-2 in their last 4 coming into tonight, it's 2 totally different teams. And again, the game they played tonight, offensively and defensively, doesn't look at all like the last 4 weeks. Basically, after the road win over the Chargers, 2 games against the Bears, 1 game against the Packers, 33-28 win kind of sticks out as an anomaly in there over the Saints, but defense got shredded in the second half there. Not tonight. Broncos had their run in the 3rd quarter. and were able to generate 10 points. Really unusual situation. Great plays by Melifonwu and Derek Barnes down there at the goal line. On a related note, one thing to mention with the offensive line and Goff is there's only been 3 games this year, two in the last 7, where the Lions offense did not commit a turnover. I think this is the second one, along with that win over the Chargers. I might be wrong there. Perhaps it was 3. But in any case, the Broncos had come in and forcing 18 turnovers, winning 6 of 7. That was a real concern of mine in the preview that I did and put out earlier today, was the nature of the Broncos defense being younger and athletic and guys that could force turnovers against a Lions offense that have been inconsistent lately, 4 turnovers since that win over the Chargers. And nonetheless, man, this looks like the same team that you saw earlier in the season that Detroit fans were extremely excited about. Was fun to watch. Attacking with the run to the boundary, I thought, really putting teams in a lot of conflict over there to the boundary. Even though certain players were different on defense, particularly the DB group, as I mentioned earlier. Let me know what you saw. 29, I think it's Vilson. I may have the name wrong there. Dorsey, and then Melifonwu, I thought was guys that played a lot tonight compared to what they had played. Or Vildor, excuse me, not Vilson, had played a lot tonight as compared to what they had so far. Now look, Brian Branch brought the same fire that he does pretty much every week. Credit to Aaron Glenn and the defensive staff. Amazing performance. The Broncos had averaged 23 points per game since the bye, and they were dominated in the first half. To my charting, the Broncos had run 24 plays for 75 yards. I guess one of those plays was a kneel down to end the second quarter, so 23 plays, we'll call it, for 75 yards. You're talking about a little above, 3 yards per play in the game's opening minutes. Huge statement by the defense. I know the stadium, at least what it looked like watching it, the broadcast, the stadium had to be rocking. The Broncos had won a lot of games recently, but they have real troubles defensively. Tried to illustrate that somewhat, or talk about that somewhat in the preview. Most rushing yards allowed on the season, and clearly tonight, Montgomery and Gibbs were able to get it going. Combined for 185 yards on 28 carries. Montgomery's runs were a little tougher, I thought. Gibbs had 2 big ones, the 34-yarder down the right sideline when he almost scored. Brilliant job by Ben Johnson offensively, and I thought Aaron Glenn matched that tonight. The Lions defense got 5 stops in the first half, and they really caught fire by about the 3rd or 4th possession there. To me, it looked like the Broncos were having real trouble understanding who's blitzing, who's dropping out. Second week in a row, to my observation, where the Lions and Aaron Glenn defensively have tried to be multiple. It didn't work last week against Justin Fields and the Bears, clearly, for various reasons. It sure did tonight. They had the stadium going, the sideline excited. It was fun to watch them mix up the looks. I can't wait to check out a video of what I would consider to be a lot of safe blitzes. 4-man rushes where they're varying or changing up who the 4th rusher is. Something I didn't see Aaron Glenn do a ton of earlier in the season. It was almost like he didn't need to. Then there became a stretch where they weren't getting pressure at all. And tonight, while I think still only generating 2 sacks, one of which was Josh Pascal, who is surging lately, and the other one by Melifonwu. It seems to me like this might be something they need to do. Are they going to do it as often as they did tonight? Again, I think it was 12 or 14 times. Probably not. It'll probably be used a little bit less frequently. If you were to look at the last 4 games against the Packers, Saints, and the Bears twice, not at all the same coverage schemes, I don't think, used tonight. The Chargers game is a difficult one to throw in with those because I think the Chargers are just more talented than the defense that was on the field that day. But if you bring this type of intensity, this type of execution from the blitzers and the coverage guys, there's really no reason that they can't hold teams down such that an offense that doesn't turn the football over can outscore teams. And I mean anyone in the NFC playoffs. Lions offense, let's get to some of that. And then I'll show a couple of drive summaries. Lions offense was forced to punt on their opening 3 drives tonight. It was kind of difficult to watch. We actually messaged in the Discord. We have a Lions Discord community. It's got like 9 or 10 people in there now. We were like, man, the offense got to get something going because the defense is just balling. Ended up, you wouldn't know that the Lions offense had to punt on their first 3 drives by looking at the halftime stats. They had touchdowns on their 4th, 5th, and 6th possessions to take a 21-0 lead halfway through. 279 yards of offense. At that point, Goff had 3 touchdown passes, 19 of 26 passing. Laporta, Gibbs, and St. Brown had touchdown receptions, 2 of which I would say are like on very similar concepts. I got to give, I think it was Trent Green, the announcer, credit. He identified that quickly. I thought he did an underrated job. A very ridiculous switch in momentum in that second quarter. I think kind of spurred by the defense. You know, I know they don't have anything to do with the offensive execution, but the fact that defense was just giving the ball right back to the offense kind of sped up the process by which, you know, Ben Johnson, Jared Goff, the offensive line, whoever, quote, figured things out. And when you're just getting the ball given back to you quickly, then that allows you to kind of hopefully smooth things out and get some separation, which they were able to do. I think the Lions, of their 3 scoring drives in the second quarter, I think they only faced 2 third downs there. We'll see 2 of them here in a moment. I'll talk about the possession. And one of them was a 3rd and 1 when the score was already 14-0. Montgomery goes off right tackle for a 4-yard gain. They were just in control. Total control. I felt like they could do whatever they wanted to against the Broncos. Again, using similar concepts to get open in the pass game. Once St. Brown flips into the end zone to make it 21-0. I don't know about you. I'm sure if you're a Lions fan, there's a pessimistic side for a lot of people. I got no problem with that. But 21-0 at that point, with how aggressive and attacking the defense was, keeping the Broncos off balance, I really felt like the game was over at that point. Here's the Broncos' drives in the first half. Really, 5 of them. They kneel down to end the half. I don't really count. 4 plays, fumble. I think it's Melifonwu on the forced fumble. But Bugs picks up and rumbles down. Wasted scoring opportunity for the offense. 3 plays, 1 yard for the Broncos. Punt. That's their second possession. Third one, 6 plays, 30 yards punt. Fourth one, 3 plays, negative 12 yards punt. I think that's the sack by Josh Paschal. 5th possession, 7 plays, 11 yards punt. Now, I could have just told you the stats. 24 offensive plays generated 75 yards. I feel like it's a little bit more powerful when you hear the plays, 3 plays, 1 yard. 3 plays, negative 12 yards. I feel like it's a little more powerful. Those guys that came in, Dorsey, Melifonwu, Vildor, just balling, really balling. I thought Kirby Joseph looked a little bit more decisive tonight. I did think that Alex Anzalone won coverage in the second half and one in the first half. I thought he missed, but again, you know, we don't know the call, but it seemed to me that he missed at least, he definitely missed the coverage in the second half. The one in the first half, you know, I have to see the all 22 of. Paschal had a sack, like I talked about, on a 3rd and 13 after Melifonwu and Alex Anzalone combined for a tackle for loss, but I thought there was like 3 other guys there. Let's get to some of the film, or let's get to some of the possessions. Specifically, we'll start with the Lions' 4th possession, where they, you know, really started to figure things out offensively and get the ball moving downfield, especially with the run game. Montgomery 6 yards on a 1-back power play. Anything that with a pulling lineman, I felt like gave the Broncos trouble leading up to this game, and that kind of proved true tonight. Inside zone, second play, 4 yards, I think was into the boundary. And then the play action to Laporta on a slant. He's lined up as a wide receiver, so out wide, the number 1 receiver. I thought it was 13 personnel. This third play down from the top, you can see that I've got 12/13 there. I don't know. It may have been 12 personnel, but I think it's 13. Sometimes Laporta's been lining up at fullback in this slot I formation, and then he lined up at wide receiver. So it sounds to me like they had 3 tight ends on the field, but it might have only been 2. Montgomery doesn't get anything on the 1st and 10. Second one, Donovan Peoples-Jones, quick completion. You could tell it was him because the crowd got real excited. And then Goff to Laporta on this 3rd down. This was crucial, near midfield, 3rd and 6. And Laporta lines up to the left-hand side and just decks the defensive end on the snap. And Laporta actually goes to the ground as well, has to put his hand on the ground, frame up to get back up. Goff seems to double pump, go through at least 1 read, maybe 2, hit Laporta underneath. 8-yard gain. And then Reynolds on the dig, huge play under center. I thought it was hurry up, so I didn't get the personnel and formation. But if it's hurry up, it has to be 11 personnel. Reynolds from the right side, dig over the middle of the field for 21. And then this is a beautiful play. The first touchdown. I'm going to try to explain it. St. Brown it's 11 personnel. St. Brown's at running back. Gibbs is wide receiver to the left. He motions left to right. Laporta's on the right-hand side of the offense. And the motion of Gibbs left to right. And then St. Brown, who remember is in the backfield, runs a wheel to the left-hand side. So he runs it kind of up the left sideline, not necessarily near the sideline. I think between the bottom of the numbers and the sideline. And that kind of clears out all that space over there to the left-hand side. And Laporta runs onto it. I thought it was like a drag, an underneath drag from the right-hand side to the left, basically following St. Brown, not on the same routes, but following him through the area that St. Brown vacated or cleared out. Beautiful design, if you ask me. I can't wait to see the all-22 of it. Laporta also breaks 2 tackles, turns it into a 19-yard touchdown. It was a brilliant moment, and then the defense goes out there and gets another stop, gets them the football right back. You can see that this one was late second quarter in terms of the possession, begins with 1:38, and then they score into the second quarter. Get the ball back quickly. Reynolds on another 21-yard gain to open this possession, then Gibbs for 21. One thing about that pass to Reynolds, and they actually did this twice in the game, I think most of them are from this like tighter alignment. Not super tight, like the way the Rams line up their wide receivers and sometimes the 49ers, but top of the numbers to the hash. So a little bit tighter alignment for a number one receiver. And Goff is under center, just one step, kind of fades it out towards the sideline, high arc and throw, and lets Reynolds use his big body to kind of shield the receiver a little bit, but run onto the throw. It's brilliant stuff. Very similar catch against the Packers in the home win against the Packers in the road win earlier this season on the right-hand side. Montgomery loses 6 on a screen. Thought it was a great play by the D tackle, 93 for the Broncos. Williams, man, I thought Jamison Williams looked electric tonight. He just looked super talented. I know he hurt his leg on an amazing catch where he jumped up and speared it despite contact. I don't know how many catches he had tonight, but he had an impact, if you ask me, when he's on the field. I got him for 4 catches, 47 yards, 7 targets. I thought one ball was pretty far off target. 19 yards there, jukes the corner on the sideline. Very tight space for him to get such a juke. I was pretty impressed by that play. Gets him down to the 9. St. Brown on the slant. Great play by the outside corner for the Broncos, number 6. I don't recall his name. And then Gibbs on the zig route, 11-yard touchdown. It's a zig route is like he's lined up at running back. He runs it like a 45-degree angle, like he's going potentially to veer off to the left flats. Instead, brings it back over the middle at like another 45-degree angle, or maybe a little bit more vertical upfield, so it'd be like a 60-degree angle. But in any case, 11-yard touchdown on a 2nd and goal really got the offense going. At that point, you're like, okay, they're running the ball well. You had Gibbs for 21 into the boundary there, by the way. 2 20-yard plus gains to Reynolds, and then 1 almost 20-yard gain to Williams. At that point, you're talking about explosive plays being stacked on top of each other. Able to get the 3rd score to St. Brown to go up 21-0. Now, look, the Broncos got things going, particularly on that first possession, but outgained 279-75 in the first half. Broncos only had 4 first downs in the opening half. You knew that things were going to balance out or come, even out a little bit more, and they did. The Broncos are able to get a touchdown on their opening possession. Now, look, they're helped out by 3rd and 12. I thought it was an interesting coverage choice. We'll do it that way. It looks like a Tampa 2, and Anzalone is running in between the hashes. So he's running with the interior vertical to wherever the pass strength is called. I thought it was Marvin Mims, real talented rookie. Clear defensive pass interference. So gets the Broncos from the -23 to the 33. They do get a 14-yard gain to Sutton underneath. Sutton had 5 catches for 71 yards. I thought 3 of them were underneath stuff that you're kind of willing to give up on that particular pass down. The big one to me is the 3rd and 4 from the 11-yard line. And I think it's Melifonwu is over to the boundary. Just a little shoot route into the flats by Humphrey. 3rd and 4 down there on the 11-yard line, like I said, just way too easy. Wide open, quick. Wilson gets rid of the ball quick from the shotgun. It's empty. Just thought it was way too easy to allow down there. And eventually, Humphrey gets the touchdown where the ball, to me, definitely hit the ground. I don't know what the heck the definition of a catch is at this point. So gives the Broncos, gets them on the board, I should say. They made big plays to start the third quarter. And then the Lions just go, right downfield and stack another touchdown on top of it. At that point, if you didn't think 21-0 and the game was over, at this point, 28-7, you certainly did. 10.5 minutes left in the third quarter. Broncos have taken the opening possession down and scored like I just described. Brown for 25. Play action under center. To me, it looked like Amon-Ra St. Brown could have had 15 catches tonight. Even when they showed, the only times he wasn't open, let's do it this way, it looked like it was clear out routes for him. Designed to use his gravity like the one I described earlier, the first touchdown to Laporta. 3rd and 10 was a brilliant call at midfield by Ben Johnson. At this point, got to do a video on that, meaning got to do a video on his 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10, in this case, run plays that pick up first downs or get close and allow the Lions to go for it on 4th and 2 or 4th and 1. I guess that's part of it, is that Dan Campbell's so willing to go for it on 4th and 2, 4th and 3 even, that Ben Johnson feels comfortable calling a run in those situations. So perhaps that's part of it. But a brilliant call into the boundary. I thought it was behind St. Brown and Raymond. It's the 4th play down from the top. You can see my note or description behind St. Brown and Raymond over there. I could be wrong on that, but it looked to me like it was behind those two guys being used as lead blockers, two of the smaller, receivers that the Lions have. A third, it's so anomalous in the NFL and college football these days with a 3rd and 10 near midfield. Keeps the defense honest. I think it's just brilliant, even in some of the cases where it doesn't work. And then the very next play, come right back with what I think is jumbo 12. So I think you've got one tight end on the field, either Laporta or Wright. I don't know which one. And then Skipper announced as eligible, being the second tight end, hence the term jumbo. So 12, two tight ends, one of which happens to be Skipper. It's a wham trap play by my eyes. Haven't seen a replay of it. It's Gibbs bursting down the right side again to the boundary. So I would say 70% of the runs tonight by the Lions were to the boundary. I might be wrong there. 34 yards. I thought he was going to score. He broke a couple of tackles and then actually got knocked backwards. I thought he was going to regain his feet. 3rd and goal from about the 3.5-yard line. I don't know if it goes down a 3-yard touchdown, 4-yard touchdown to Laporta against Patrick Surtain. Look, I thought Surtain got worked tonight 4 times. Not as much in the second half. It didn't seem like to me, but I've seen a guy play live 3 times, and I think he's a very good corner. I just don't see a top 5 corner in the league when I watch him play live. Watching the All-22 makes things different, so that statement might get thrown out the window if he played spectacular in the second half. But here, a rookie tight end lined up outside and in the bunch, so it's a tighter, compressed formation, is able to beat him on an out-and-in route. It's nice coverage by Surtain, but it's a big body in Laporta, big catch radius. In this case, Goff throws it low and makes it 28-7. Game really over at that point, if you ask me, even though the Broncos are able to go down and get another field goal. Have to address that situation there. I thought the running back was in on the pitch, but it's a great play by Barnes. I'm talking about the Broncos are able to get down, have a 1st and goal from the 9. The incomplete pass, I think, on the first and goal. 2nd and goal, completion on the zig route to the tight end. I think it's Pirine and Melifonwu with a great play. I mean, at the goal line. That, to me, didn't look like he was in. The next one did, the 3rd and goal from the 1. Even if he's in, it's a great play by Barnes. I don't know if you saw it or you were watching, but the angle that Barnes took, he was just so committed to his angle. And he had missed an open field tackle earlier in the game when he got hurt. Injured his shoulder, went out. It looked apparently they strapped him up or taped him up or something. So he's back in on this play. It's a great moment, man. Melifonwu with a tackle at the goal line to prevent the touchdown, and then Barnes. I mean, it's ruled that he's down, that the knee is down by the running back. It's a great tackle out there, and then the 4th and goal, the fullback scores. To my understanding, the helmet of the right guard was breaking the plane of the football, but I may not understand the rule correctly. I tried to look it up, tonight while they were explaining it. Wipes away the touchdown, gives them a 4th and goal from the 6, or I guess the 5.5, really. And Sean Payton decides to kick the field goal, make it 28-10. Really didn't matter. Lions go down and score 2 more touchdowns. Have to talk about Melifonwu. Tracy Walker III and Jerry Jacobs, I don't have them on the stat sheet tonight at all. I don't even know if they were active. Feel free to let me know in the comment section. I don't see them down listed for a single tackle at all. Melifonwu played last week. Super aggressive this week. 9 tackles, 1 sack, 2 passes defensed. I think he had another quarterback hit, maybe 2 more. I thought he forced a fumble that Bugs recovered. Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe it was Dorsey or Vildor. Alex Anzalone had 12 tackles tonight. I thought there was the one blitz by a DB Branch in the second half when one of the tight ends, I think Troutman, had a 24-yard gain. I think Anzalone blows that coverage, and I think there's another one in the first half that he, to me, looked like he's blitzing when he should be responsible for the back. But they played so many different stunts and coverages teamed together tonight that I may not have recognized it, and I could be wrong. So 12 tackles, a pretty damn good game, obviously. 1 pass defensed on a blitzed. Barnes doesn't come in with a lot of tackles, only 3, but him and Melifonwu with those 2 plays on the goal line, I think that was huge. Josh Pascal, I mentioned earlier, has been surging. Thought he played really well against the Saints and the Bears. Had a sack tonight from an interior rush position. I think that's where he belongs on pass downs, inside, going against guards. Have to give credit to Aaron Glenn and the defensive staff, not just for the design of these stunts and these blitzes and the guts to call them. Clearly had the support of Dan Campbell to do so, but it's the timing of when they use them. Some of them were on rundowns. Some of them were clearly on pass downs to generate pressure. But there was some that were on rundowns where they're blitzing to stop the run, and if the quarterback boots back to you, you go get the quarterback. And I thought that Melifonwu, Branch, Vildor, I think went on 1 blitz. Dorsey was on another. Great night for those guys. With 2, I'm sure that as Lions fans you're excited. Whatever the negativity is historically, I understand, but reality. Just went out there and moved to 10-4 with a really dominant performance on both sides. If the defense can play like this, or even 80% of this, you've got a really good chance to win 2 of these remaining 3 games. And check this out. This is going to sound kind of far-fetched, particularly for people that have been a Lions fan for a long time and maybe dealt with some very difficult seasons or frustrating situations. If the 49ers lose another game, they're at 10-4. Or 4 losses. Let's do it that way. That game, and you win the first game, the upcoming game against the Vikings next week. Vikings are in a weird place. They're 7-7. They need 3 wins in a row, 3 losses in a row by the Lions. Presumably, I guess that would give them the division. Let's say the Lions go out next week and beat the Vikings. And let's say the 49ers lose soon. That game against the Cowboys, the next to last game of the season, becomes incredibly important. And a team that just was 2-2 in their last 4 games, disappointing losses to the Packers and the Bears, suddenly looking at having at least 1 home game in the playoffs, potentially 2. You guys let me know what you think of that thought. I don't think it's far-fetched to have that conversation or have that thought at least in our heads because of how well the Lions played tonight against a Broncos team that, regardless of their defensive struggles over the course of the season, had won 6 games against NFL football teams in their previous 7 contests. Man, I appreciate you guys' time. Let me know if you think there's anything that I missed in covering this. There'll certainly be some film study videos coming out starting Sunday night. It'll be an interesting night for me because I think the film comes out at 6 p.m. on NFL.com, and the Ravens play at 8:20. So I'll try to get a couple of videos out for you guys Sunday night before that game so you can check it out. And then, of course, I'll be doing a reaction video to the Ravens' visit to Jacksonville. Appreciate you guys' time. If you think other Lions fans would enjoy this video, this reaction video to the Detroit Lions win over the Broncos in Week 15, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.